There was a night when the air itself seemed to tremble, and the silence in my chest grew louder than thunder. I remember the candle burning low beside me, the flame small, trembling, like it too was afraid to be seen. I had not yet learned that light can shiver. I had not yet learned that silence can scream. I walked through that room as though it were the inside of my soul. Walls breathing, shadows watching, every step echoing a question I did not dare to ask. The world outside was asleep, but something ancient was awake inside me. Something that had waited for years beneath my heartbeat, beneath every disappointment, beneath every prayer I whispered and then abandoned. They said God speaks in storms, but that night, he came in a whisper. And it was not the kind of whisper that comforts. It was the kind that tears through you, like lightning made of mercy. I did not see him. I felt him, like breath on the back of my neck, like fire beneath my ribs, like a question that would not let me go. He called my name in the dark, and when he did, every false name I had ever answered to, pride, fear, failure, doubt, began to crumble. I tried to run, but there was nowhere to hide. You cannot flee from the one who built your hiding places. You cannot silence the one who speaks from within your bones. The candlelight flickered as if to warn me. Nothing will be the same after this, and I knew it. I knew that whatever was coming was not gentle. Revelation never is. It burns, it breaks, it remakes. He called my name in the dark, and in that moment I understood. This was not a visitation, it was an unveiling. The air itself became holy. My own breath turned into prayer. The walls seemed to breathe with me. I felt everything, the fear, the awe, the unbearable weight of being seen completely and still, loved enough to be broken open. I had waited my whole life for peace, but that night, he gave me fire instead. He called my name in the dark, and that was the beginning of the end of me. My name is John. He called my name in the dark, and after that, the silence did not return. It stayed open, like a wound that refused to close, like a sky torn wide where heaven had once leaned close enough to breathe on me. I did not understand what had happened. I only knew that something ancient had moved within the walls of time, and I was standing in the trembling center of it. I remember my hands shaking. I could see them in the candlelight. Small, unsteady, almost foreign to me. They looked like the hands of someone who had been forgiven too many times and still didn't know what to do with mercy. My reflection in the glass was pale and wet with tears. Behind me, the night pressed its face against the window like a witness, waiting for me to confess what I had just seen. He called my name in the dark, and everything I thought I knew about myself began to unravel, not violently, but with the terrible tenderness of truth. I saw the boy I used to be, running through empty streets, looking for love and voices that never stayed. I saw the man who made promises to God and broke them before morning. I saw the faces of those I had hurt, the lies I told to keep from being seen. And through it all, his voice kept echoing, not angry, not disappointed, but sorrowful, like a father whispering through the ruins of his child's own making. He called my name in the dark, and suddenly I understood. This was not punishment. This was invitation. Heaven was not asking for perfection. It was asking for surrender. The voice was not demanding that I rise. It was asking if I was finally ready to fall, to be broken in the right hands. There is a moment in every life when you realize that grace is not soft. It cuts, it burns, it digs its hands into your soul and pulls out the rot you swore you could hide forever. That night, I could feel it, the holy surgery, the unmaking of everything false. I wanted to look away, but every tear I shed became a confession. Every breath became prayer. Every memory that rose before me turned to ash in the presence of something too pure to lie to. He called my name in the dark, and the room began to change. The walls seemed to breathe with me. The candle flickered, and the flames stretched tall, almost alive, like it too was answering the same call. The glass before me caught my reflection again, but this time I did not see a man. I saw a soul caught between fire and forgiveness. I fell to my knees, not out of guilt, but out of recognition. I knew I was standing before the same voice that had spoken galaxies into order. The same breath that once hovered over chaos was now hovering over me. And in that holy stillness, I realized something I will never forget. Heaven interrupts what we build to remind us who we belong to. He called my name in the dark, and I remembered every time I almost died. The sickness that should have taken me, the accident that didn't, the nights when I prayed for death and found sleep instead. I remembered every time I walked away from his whisper, every time I said, maybe later. And yet still, he called again. That is what breaks a man, not wrath, but love that refuses to stop calling. My tears fell freely. They were not the tears of shame. They were the tears of one who finally understood that he was never lost, only running from being found. The light around me grew stronger, not from the candle, but from somewhere unseen. A gentle radiance that felt alive, knowing, endless. It touched my face like a memory of home. I wanted to speak, but words would have been too small. So I let my silence say he called my name in the dark. And when the light came, it did not come gently. It came like truth, uninvited, unrelenting, and holy. I remember pacing that small room. The air itself felt narrow, as if the walls had drawn closer to hear what heaven had whispered. The candle beside me trembled, and in its fragile flame, I saw my own spirit, flickering, divided, torn between the echo of his voice and the weight of my flesh. I wanted to believe I was ready, but the moment he called me, something deeper began to shake. Every hidden corner of me, every secret I thought I had buried, began to stir like restless ghosts. The heart that had once been numb was now awake, and it beat too loudly for peace. He called my name in the dark, and now the war began. I could feel it, not outside, but within. One voice saying, "Rise," another whispering, "Stay asleep." One hand reaching toward the fire, the other gripping the comfort of chains. The soul does not surrender quietly. It fights to remain unhealed. I walked the length of that room back and forth, a prisoner of my own hesitation. The floor creaked beneath each step like a confession. Shadows followed me, familiar shapes from my past. I saw the lies I told, the pride I carried, the faces of those I had hurt with my silence. Each shadow spoke without words, reminding me of what I used to be. He called my name in the dark, and I whispered back, "Why me?" The question hung heavy, not in rebellion, but in awe. Why would light choose one who had walked so long with darkness? Why would mercy remember a name that had cursed its own reflection? There was no answer, only presence. But that was enough to make me tremble. The silence became sacred, the air thick with memory. I saw flashes, not of miracles, but of moments where I could have turned and didn't. Times when the door was open and I chose the hallway of my own comfort. Every sin wasn't just rebellion, it was forgetfulness. Forgetting who called me, forgetting whose breath kept me alive. He called my name in the dark, and still I resisted. Not with anger, but with fear. Because once you say yes to light, you can never return to being unseen. Once you step into truth, every lie begins to crumble beneath your feet. That night I felt my heart split open, one side beating for the world I knew, predictable, safe, dying, the other side pulsing with something ancient, something holy, something that demanded everything. And I knew this was not a moment, it was a dividing line. Return to the fire. The phrase rose from somewhere inside me, like a command that wasn't my own. I could hear it between my breaths. Return to the fire. It was not about punishment, it was about purification, about remembering what was lost before the noise of the world drowned it out. Return to the fire. Every step I took in that small room became a step between worlds, between who I was and who I was being called to become. The light on my face changed as I moved, half shadow, half flame, as if heaven itself was testing which part of me would remain. My knees gave way, not from weakness, but from recognition. I could feel the pulse of something holy beneath the floorboards. Every tear that fell felt like a seed. Every breath felt borrowed. He called my name in the dark, and the darkness answered with my doubts. Voices, not from outside, but from within, began to rise. You're not worthy. They won't believe you. This is madness. Each thought came like a dagger of reason, but reason cannot breathe where revelation has entered. Still, I wrestled with them. Those whispers of fear that sound so much like logic. Returned to the fire. The room pulsed with it now, as though the very air was alive. My reflection on the glass no longer looked human. It looked eternal, stretched between repentance and rebirth. I saw my eyes, and behind them, the faces of those who would need to hear this story. The ones lost in the same silence that once buried me. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide behind old prayers and familiar sins. But there was no